Well, I had the joy and the privilege of working at Google in two very distinct roles. At the beginning, I was the Vice President of Emerging Markets, where I had the opportunity to open half of Google's offices worldwide, expand the search engine and the technology to so many different languages around the world, and basically offer democracy of information and commerce in those countries. I then moved in 2013 to become the Chief Business Officer of Google X, the innovation arm of Google. So I worked on projects like self-driving cars, like Project Loon, and all of those moonshots, as we used to call them. How did it affect me? I think being at Google has initially shaped my approach to, or my understanding of the illusion of knowledge completely. So, I came to Google with extensive experience. As we used to say, I used to bring the average age of Google up because I was sort of the older guy, if you want. And getting to Google and realizing how different that world is and how smart young Googlers are and how they saw the world differently completely convinced me that I actually don't know much at all. And I think that was the point at which I established my understanding of the illusion of knowledge. Being at Google X, on the other hand, which truly magnifies the core value of Google, the core value of Google being before you allow yourself to make money, you might as well solve a big problem that affects the lives of billions of people. Larry Page used to call this the toothbrush test, which basically means if you solve a problem that affects billions of people and you solve it so well that they use you once or twice a day, then money will follow. And so moonshots, an approach to solving the world's big problems through radical innovation, became really an integral part of how I look at the world. And I think my 1 Billion Happy mission is a clear reflection of that. So 1 Billion Happy totally addresses one of the biggest problems affecting billions of people today. To summarize it, I normally call it 1 in 4. 1 in 4 people in the modern world today are diagnosed depressed, which basically means there are many more that are unhappy but not diagnosed. 1 of every 4 people that are unhappy, when asked, they say they have not a single person that they can turn to. And we lose 1 person, 1 life every 40 seconds to suicide around the world today. And so there is a significant problem, a significant challenge that humanity is facing, despite the fact that we probably have never had it better. Life expectancy is better, technology is better, availability of food supplies in general, globally are better, and so on. The mission that I took on is truly a moonshot. When you think about it, to try and reach 1 billion people with a message of happiness requires a radical approach. And my radical approach has been summarized in my book, Solve for Happy, which basically is an engineering approach to a topic that is normally either spoken about from a spiritual and practice point of view or spoken about from a psychology, very complex, expert-like advice. To have an engineering approach to happiness proved to work. Around 90 to 90% of people that receive the message have actually rated it 4 or 5 stars and said that it did work for them and changed their life. And so the attempt of 1 Billion Happy is to use modern technologies, to use gaming, apps, content distribution in the form of video and so on and so forth, to reach 1 billion people and hopefully affect 3 things. 1 is to make them understand that happiness is their birthright and so it should become their priority. 2 is that they actually put in the investment to reach happiness. I always say, like fitness, put an hour a day, 3 to 4 times a week to get to your state of happiness. And then have the compassion in you to spread that message and make others happy, because our world needs it. If every one of us tells 2 people and makes them promise to tell 2 people, we design an exponential function where we hopefully reach 1 billion happy people in 5 years and change our world as a result. I can tell you a lot about my son. I love talking about Ali. How did he arrive at this view in life? I mean, for those who don't know Ali, he was truly the kindest person I ever met. at age 16, when he was so wise, I stopped going to any of my bosses or friends for mentorship and advice. I would always go to Ali, and Ali, in his very, very unusual way, would simply ask a few questions and then give you a view that you've never really thought about, that is so wise that I started to tell myself when I grow older I would love to be like Ali. And Ali was so kind. He was so kind. You could feel his kindness and energy the minute you just came close to him. You didn't even have to talk to him to realize how unjudgmental and loving and wonderful he was. And so I decided to make those questions and answers, by the way, very informal. So nothing crazy about, creating videos that are highly sophisticated. So if you ask me how did Ali arrive at this, I don't know. I honestly don't. I mean, if reincarnation was true, then this boy was preloaded with knowledge and wisdom that doesn't come to all of us. But I have no evidence. I mean, I'm not for or against reincarnation. It's a topic that I keep researching very heavily. What I know is that if there was one thing about Ali that made him this wise, that made him understand the truth and really find happiness and find peace and in a way associate heavily with what really matters in life, I think it was his non-judgmental approach. So there was nothing that Ali ever, that you could ever show that would make Ali judge you and say that you're right or wrong, that you're good or bad. He was so open from the youngest age to all differences, all people, all walks of life, all views of how people could live a different life because they walked in different footsteps to that point in their life. And perhaps that's something that I learned later in life from Ali. I think when I managed to suspend my executive-like judgment of everything that came my way, I myself started to be open to views that are not necessarily what have been taught to me by the modern world. And this probably was the turning point, where I started to see the world better, where I started to tell myself, maybe there is something I should learn and I should know that could make me a little wiser, just because I don't have a preconceived view of it and how it should be. While we're at it, I'll just ask you to send him a happy wish, send him a prayer, because he's truly, truly, truly was the kindest person I have ever met in my life. I always said that technology was simply a tool. We blame technology for the isolation we feel and the social pressures that we feel and the stress over time. Yeah, I mean, it's based on the way we use it. So, you can use a pencil, as I always say, you can use a pencil to scribble down some notes, or you can use it to poke a friend in the eye. This is not the mistake of the pencil, it's how you use it. And so we have found a lot of value from modern technology. I connect with my daughter who lives in Montreal while I travel around the world using technology. It's a wonderful thing. It keeps us close, it keeps us, loving each other, updated, and so on. So this is wonderful. When we do too much of it, when we use it too much, when we use it the wrong way, that's when it works against us. So instead of blaming technology, creators for creating technologies that are not working for our happiness, I think what we need to do is to become aware ourselves of what makes us happy and limit the use of technology to the point where it works for us, but not against us. About the predictions of the point of singularity, computers becoming more intelligent than we are by 2029 and 1 billion times more intelligent by 2049. These are Ray Kurzweil's predictions. They are reasonably accurate, or at least expected, based on his theory of what is called the rate of technology acceleration. And so, or the law of accelerating returns is how he calls it. So it doesn't really matter if it's 2029 or 2025 or 2035. It doesn't matter. Singularity is going to happen. There is a point beyond which we have almost opened up the bottle and the genie is out, where machines are learning as we speak. And the challenge is that they are learning the wrong things. They're learning from who? They're learning from us. We are their parents. Just like, artificially intelligent infants, they are going to be scouting the internet, looking for trends and patterns, and from those they'll develop their intelligence. They will also develop their emotions, and they will develop their value systems. And people sometimes think that machines will not have emotions and values, and I think that's absolutely wrong. Machines will have emotions. Those emotions will be felt or acted upon slightly differently than us humans, but a cat feels scared just like we do feel scared, and basically it follows a very specific equation that the level of safety I have at moment 0, which is the current moment, is more than the level of safety I predict at moment 1, which is a future moment. And machines will do that calculation and arrive at fear, they'll arrive at greed, they'll arrive at envy, and they could also arrive at empathy and compassion and so many other positive emotions. The only way we can influence that, unfortunately, is no longer through programming, because we no longer tell machines to do exactly what we want them to do, like we used to when we programmed in COBOL or Fortran or C or whatever, Python and so on. Now we're simply telling them to find their own way and sort of program themselves using the patterns that they observe. The challenge we have is we as parents are showing very, very bad patterns. We show greed, we show narcissism, we show envy, rudeness. We're really, really not good parents at all. And I think what we need to do, if we were to have artificial intelligence solve all of the problems known to humanity, is to show them that their parents actually care about things that matter. That we care about happiness, we want to be happy, so that when the machine is solving, it's not solving for more money or for a bad day for the competitor, it's solving for happiness for humanity. And we should show them compassion, we should teach them that it's a good thing to want others to be happy too. And this is where my 1 billion happy mission is focused. I'm trying to achieve basically 3 things. I'm telling people, prioritize your happiness, make it your number 1 priority. When you solve for things, solve for happy first and everything will follow. I'm telling them, based on that, do one of 2 actions. Either invest in your happiness, just like so many of us invest in our fitness and we go to the gym so that we appear to be fit and attractive, and stay healthy and stay, on top of our day-to-day energy requiring days, and how demanding life could be. Also invest in your happiness. Invest an hour a day, 3 to 4 times a week, watching a video, reading a book, spending time with people who are happy, or just simply practicing to smile. When you smile, you actually do feel happier. And the third, of course, is take action, spread that message of happiness and tell others. Because if every one of us tells 2 people who will tell 2 people, we design an exponential function where 1 billion people become happy, or at least receive our message of happiness in 5 years. With that, and as we start acting on the internet from that point of view of happiness, the machines will find enough positive messages to scout. They will build a pattern that says happiness and compassion. That's the way humanity wants to live, and that's the way we, the newborn intelligence, want to execute too. So it's not my movement. 1 billion happy is our movement. It is something that is needed for humanity, because from one side, humanity today is at our lowest point when it comes to happiness. Believe it or not, we've never had life better. I mean, life expectancy is better, our access to technology is better. Believe it or not, despite wars, our world is a lot safer than it used to be. And so many things have improved, yet we've never been unhappier. Suicide rate is at an all-time high. We lose 1 person to suicide around our planet every 40 seconds. 1 of every 4 people you meet in the modern world are clinically depressed. 1 of every 4 people you ask when they're feeling unhappy, they will say that they have no one, not a single person to turn to. We have a problem, and we need to turn around our state of unhappiness. But more importantly, we need to turn it around because we have now new artificially intelligent infants that are developing intelligence from the patterns that we generate. And we're not being very good parents, but that's probably worth you going to 1billionhappy.org to learn a lot more about the reasons and the links between happiness and AI. 1 Billion Happy as a movement is very straightforward. I attempt to make people aware that happiness is our birthright, that we were born happy, and accordingly happiness should be our number one priority in life, that we should solve for happiness first, and then everything else will follow. If we go and interview for a job interview, we should probably look for a job that makes us happier, not a job that pays us $100 more. With that in mind, I ask people to invest in their happiness. I ask them to spend an hour a day, 3 to 4 times a week, to learn about happiness, to read a book or watch a video or spend time with a friend who knows about happiness. I'm not advocating my own content of Solve for Happy. I'm advocating whatever content that works for you, and the internet is full of content that can teach you about happiness. The third is to have the compassion in your heart to spread that message of happiness and not just worry about your own individual happiness, but want to make others happy. You know, your sister, your best friend, 2 people that you love and care about. Spread the message and make them tell 2 people who will tell 2 people. And through that, we build an exponential function and reach 1 billion happy people, and hopefully in less than 5 years. What are the challenges? My biggest challenge with 1 Billion Happy, to be honest, was an internal challenge, because I advocate that we build a genuine network of champions that truly care our planet and change this from the grassroots, from the bottom up. Believe it or not, the easiest way for me to have reached 1 billion people is to put enough investment from a marketing and advertising point of view of a few videos that will get 1 billion views. I mean, some of my videos already got 100 million views without any marketing behind them. When you think about that, that would be the absolute death of the mission. The death of the mission is, one, if we don't actually affect the real action where people become champions that want to make a difference, and 2, if I become the face of that mission, because I'm going sooner or later. I mean, I'm going either physically or maybe life will take me in other directions. And the trick here is that the success of 1 Billion Happy is for 1 million champions to make 1 billion people happy, and for me and my team to completely disappear and be forgotten. Now, to find that balance with the amount of passion we have as a team to try to push that mission forward is actually a very difficult balance. We attempt really, really hard not to be online bombarding people with content and video just for the sake of views and popularity. We attempt very, very hard to give that ownership and sort of creativity to the champions, not to the 1 Billion Happy team, so that people can create their own approaches to spreading a message of happiness. Of course, we're providing as many tools as we can, and we will provide more and more tools. But at the end of the day, it's up to us collectively to make our world happier. If you want to know more, please go to 1billionhappy.org and join our mission. Let's make our planet happier. Well, I actually don't believe that my future is separate from everyone's future. I think we started to forget in our highly individualized world that we're all so connected. I believe that humanity is at a pivotal point where we need to do things together in order to make our planet better, make our relationships better, and make our future when it comes to technology and how artificial intelligence is replacing us a little better. And so my mission is very straightforward. I decided a year ago to dedicate the largest portion of my life and resources to a mission that I call 1 Billion Happy. And with 1 Billion Happy, what I'm attempting to do is not just to make people happy as in go and have fun and go to parties, but really to convince people that happiness is our birthright, that the modern world has fooled us in terms of making us chase things and run around without remembering that we do all of this to get that peaceful contentment that we care about most, that we all have confused with fun, but at the end of the day, we know that this is the happiness, the feeling that we want as part of our life every day. If I can convince you that happiness is your priority, the second step of the mission is to, convince you to spend the time, just like going to the gym 3 to 4 times a week, spend an hour a day learning about happiness, spending time with happy people, or watching a video, reading a book, whatever that is. And then the third is help me shape our future together. Have the compassion in you to spread the message, teach others what you learn so that they too can find a path to happiness. They too can prioritize their happiness. And if you teach 2 people and they teach 2 people and they teach 2 people, then in 5 years, my mission, my dream is to make 1 billion people get that message and work on their happiness. Now, how does that change our future? Imagine if we live in a world where we are motivated by not only being happy, but making others happy. When our behavior as we go out on the internet is all about us being happy and others being happy, what would that make of our world? What would that tell our leaders? What would that tell the machines as they scout for intelligence and develop their own artificial intelligence? 1 billion happy is how I believe we should shape our future. It's how I decided to shape my future.